Good morning. I'm an early church person. I won't cast judgment. It's nice to see you all again after this long break of not being with most of you. Early service is wonderful. If those who haven't been and you only come to second service, it's okay. I still like you. It's okay. I probably have a few golfers in here, right? So occasionally you hit the ball. It does not go where you want it to go. And so you try again. Just hit a mulligan, right? And oftentimes the second shot goes better than the first one. It's a miracle. The B player generally is always better than the A player. Don't ask me why. It is how golf is played. And in the world of sermons, I'm thinking that you guys are going to get the benefit of the B player. I've already given this sermon once after the 2 times I practiced at home. And you get the second version in front of a crowd. So it should be better. Anyway, my name's Jeremy Smith, and I'll be bringing the message to you today. I know some of you who know me well are probably just as surprised as I was when I got the question of whether I should preach or not. But I think and I hope you will be blessed. As some of you already know, I'm a professional engineer. And some of you may say, well, great, you probably drive a train. I do not drive a train. I take a building that an architect might design, and I give it all the things that you want. One joke that I have is that I rid the world of the tyranny of the uncomfortable space. So if you like lights, and you like plumbing, and you like power, and you like air conditioning, I'm your guy. I got you. My career choice isn't for the faint of heart. You go to school a lot. You learn a whole lot about math that ultimately you need about 1% of. You get tested and tested and tested and tested. And then when you get into your field, you start designing things and it gets reviewed by your peers, your supervisors, your clients, and then the code officials come in. Am I right? And the code officials decide to tell you, you don't know enough. I'll go ahead and comment on this. I will say sometimes we leave low-hanging fruit in our designs. We purposefully change the year the code reference might be just to give the code official a little something to be proud of. They can call it out for us. But all this to say, you can end up with a set of drawings that are red all over. It's like that homework assignment and you got it back and you're thinking, I don't think I'm in the right place. I don't think this is for me. Do I really belong, right? Am I really an engineer? So if all goes well, the design gets done, it gets constructed, not unlike what we did over here, and no one calls me, it probably went right. That's as good as a compliment as I can get is when no one says anything. But when things don't go right, that's when the phone calls come, the emails fly, and occasionally I get the pleasure of talking to lawyers. And mind you, some of you in here may be lawyers. It's okay. We love you too. Lawyers are a bit like doctors. I love them when I need them, but I don't really want to hang out with them and talk to them too much. If I see them too much, I generally tell them, you're very nice and very good at your job, but I would like to talk to you less. Just so we're on the same page. Regardless, when you're in my field and you're young and up and coming, the feelings of self-doubt, inadequacy, and having imposter syndrome are very, very real. You never feel smart enough. You never feel like you'll know everything. It turns out that doesn't really ever go away. It does fade. You tend to see less and less new things as your career progresses. No doubt, I'm sure some of you had the same evolution in your careers where you didn't feel like you knew enough, and slowly but surely you knew more and more. But the feeling of not knowing everything you need to know is very real. Let's talk about imposter syndrome. Let's pull on that thread. It's the persistent inability to believe that one's success or position in life is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. So by raise of hands, about like this, I don't want to embarrass anybody. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome or feeling like a fraud? Listen, this is a place of honesty here, okay? It's a lot of us, all right? So you might think you're alone. Everyone in this room has experienced it at some point in their life, in some aspect of their life. Work, school, your faith walk, right? I have for sure. I grew up in a small town in Wyoming. Yes, they have people up there. We drive vehicles and have running water and all the things. The population of the town was 1,200 people, which was generous. I don't think we quite had 1,200. Now, one benefit of a small town is that if there was a sports team and you had a pulse, you're in. So that's a good thing. So I loved all kinds of sports, baseball, basketball, football, cross country, track and field, you name it. If they had an organized team, I would go do it. That was in part just home life wasn't great, a lot of turmoil. That's a whole nother sermon. I don't want to waste all the good material on one sermon. But there's a point in my journey where in high school, as a junior, I was on the cross country team. And the cross country team won the state championship title. And before you get too excited, this is not a Chariots of Fire moment. I was the alternate. So I was the person that ran only if someone got hurt. So not going to be this magical trophy moment, but I certainly didn't feel like I belonged. What am I doing here? I'm just wandering around, cheering them on. And in particular, and especially because I only have 9 toes. Some of you already know this story. Others may think, well, how do you even stand? How do you walk? Well, it turns out you can do all kinds of things with only 4 toes on one foot. In fact, it's the big one that's missing. Not that anybody's counting. Sometimes I do count. I will say, my kids aren't here at this service, and I will tell you, having a toe injury at my house for them was not good. They knew not to come to me. So I'd be like, you could live without it. Anyway, then if I had to count to 10, they'd always offer up a finger. They'd be like, you need a hand? You want another number? So lots of good fun at my house. So I had an accident with a lawnmower when I was 7, almost 8. There's a whole socioeconomic question around what was a 7-year-old doing mowing grass. Back when there were no safety features on the lawnmowers, kids, there was no release and it stops. You walked away, it just stayed running. Just give it a shove and sort of hope it went in a straight line. All those crazy things we did as a kid. So briefly, my heroes that day were my grandmother and my Aunt Kate, who kept me alive until the Life Flight helicopter picked me up and took me to the hospital. I had lost all but a pint and a half, 2 pints of my blood. The doctor that was there was a Vietnam veteran, and he had seen this in war times. And he said, "Oh no, we can fix this. We don't have to take it at the knee," which was the first suggestion. So Vietnam veteran doctor, 4 skin grafts, 6 weeks in the hospital, and 6 months of rehab later, I was just a kid again, running around, trying to do wheelies on my bicycle. One mustard seed moment memory I have, this is an aside, it's just something fun you get to learn. there was a Baptist minister named Philip Wood, and I had never set foot in a church in my life at that point. And he showed up to pray for me. He was from my little small hometown and prayed over me and gave me this little cornucopia basket. And it was filled with jelly beans, which are my favorite. And if you ever want to be on my good side, I like jelly beans. The sour ones will get you extra credit. So, and he said they will never run out. And as a kid, I'm thinking, who's this wackadoodle? Of course they're going to run out. I'm going to eat them all. And then every morning there would be more jelly beans. I figured out it was the nurses, but it was still really cool. And for me personally, it's quite possibly my earliest memory of the beginning of my walk with Christ. That was that very first moment in my memories. So back to athletics. What in the world is a nine-toed kid doing on these teams? Surely there was someone better, more deserving. Particularly if it's the 5 or 6 people going to the state championship cross-country meet, right? Well, it turns out that regardless of how you might feel about yourself or how I feel about myself, my talents or my skills, God had a plan for me. He's got a plan for you. So let's look at the scripture and see where imposter syndrome is apparent and what to do about it. Moses in Exodus, when called to lead, Moses asked, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" Gideon in Judges was called to defeat the Midianites, and despite being called a mighty warrior by God, Gideon questioned the angel of the Lord, claimed his clan was the weakest, and that he was the least in his family. If there's an angel of the Lord appearing to me, I don't know that I'm going to argue, but here he was arguing. Jeremiah was called by God to be a prophet to Judah to confront them about their sins. Jeremiah doubted his capability to speak, saying, "I do not know how to speak. I am only a child." To which God replied that his presence is what mattered, not his youth or his lack of speaking skills. The centurion in Matthew, maybe my favorite of the examples, Jesus had given the Sermon on the Mount and was coming into Capernaum when the centurion came to him asking him to heal his servant. Jesus said, "I'll go and heal him." And the centurion replied, "Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only speak the word and my servant will be healed." Jacob in Genesis, he's praying to God before he's about to meet Esau. Now, reminder, he had duped Esau out of his inheritance, and then he had run off. So God says to go back. Well, Esau's coming out to meet him with 400 people, 400 men. I don't know what you all would think if like 401 people or men in particular are coming out to greet you, and you did something wrong to that group to begin with. There might be a little bit of knee shaking going on, right? But here's what he goes on to say. "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, 'Go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper.' I am unworthy for all the kindness and faithfulness that you have shown to your servant." Simon Peter, after already being a follower of Jesus and seeing his miracles up close, still didn't feel worthy of the miracle that was for him. He said in that moment, "Go away from me, Lord. I'm a sinful man." Paul, in 2 Corinthians, speaking about the thorn in his flesh, 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me, but he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." Moses had imposter syndrome, but ultimately confronted Pharaoh. Gideon had imposter syndrome, but defeated the Midianites. Jeremiah had imposter syndrome, but prophesied to Judah. The centurion had imposter syndrome, but overcame it just enough to not let it prevent him from asking Jesus to heal his servant. And he was an outsider to the disciples. Jacob had imposter syndrome, but he went back home regardless. He learned that Esau didn't really want to kill him, but in fact loved him and missed him greatly. Peter had imposter syndrome, but continued to follow Jesus. Paul had imposter syndrome and went on to become the apostle to the Gentiles. You can do a lot whether you feel like an imposter or not. In 2 Corinthians 3:5, it states, not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our competence is from God. We are unqualified, it is a fact, and most especially when we try to do it on our own. Less of me and more of thee. How many of y'all have seen the movie Cars? Surely most everyone has seen Cars. And if you're young and you haven't seen Cars, you have homework. There's a great bit in there, and I don't remember, it's maybe one of the second or third movie, but Mater, the tow truck, who's all dented up and missing a hood, and he's all rusty and all these things. Well, they paint him up. They get him all fixed up. He's perfect. He has a hood. He's just, the paint job is great. And it's not right, he says, I want all those dents back, all those scratches, all those scrapes. That's what I am. I come by all those things honestly, and it's who I am. It's the story that I have to tell. And in many ways, I feel the same. I would often get asked, so Jeremy, this lawnmower thing, I bet you wish it never happened, right? And as a young person, I would say, yes, absolutely. Because think of how much better I'd be at all these sports. I would run faster, I'd jump higher, and most importantly, I would imagine all the girls that wouldn't think I was weird. Turns out it had nothing to do with my scars. Some of you, that laughter was a little too hearty. It's all good. So after a few aimless years, I came to know Jesus more closely, and as part of that journey, my answer changed to, no way, I wouldn't change a thing. This is what God has seen fit to turn me into, to have a story to tell, to explain what makes me tick and how I believe that to be from God. I also learned, and for those that were here first service and they're listening second service, this is a bit extra. This is like a director's cut. I came to learn specifically about my accident that my grandmother had volunteered as part of a board for the county. This happens a lot in small towns and small populations. You end up volunteering on lots of different committees. Well, she helped arrange the funding to bring Life Flight, the helicopter ambulance, to the county, and it was put in service in May of the same year I needed it. So in addition, she had a bunch of EMS training and just first aid training as part of her efforts with the Central Wyoming Cancer Treatment Center. And I believe, looking back, it's all divine. It's all exactly as God planned it, that I would be there, the helicopter would be there, that I would survive, and I would be here today speaking to you. So I like myself. I like all my dents and my scars and my scratches and my rust and my missing toe, who I call Stubby on occasion. It's a little weird, but like I said, it's not the scars that make me weird. I'm not perfect. I still do have small moments of self-doubt and wishing things might have been different. But by the grace of God, they don't last. Less of me and more of thee. 1 Corinthians 15:10. By the grace of God, I am what I am. And by the grace of God, you are what you are. Psalm 139:14. Fearfully and wonderfully made. Thank God. Be careful not to wallow in the feelings of inadequacy. They're a form of reverse pride. They're focusing on me, right? Why am I inadequate? Why can't I do the thing? Don't let your feelings have the final say. If God says you're fearfully and wonderfully made, then your feelings of being garbage is a lie, and you need to reject it. Ephesians 2:8-9, for it is by faith you have been saved, through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift from God, not by works, so that no one can boast. We are not imposters in the kingdom because we never earned our way in. You can't be a fraud in a position that was given to you as a gift. Your identity is an objective legal status granted by God, not a subjective feeling earned by us. So, the feelings of inadequacy, imposter syndrome, they do come and they go. And so for me, when I was asked to do this sermon, the first thing in my head was like, you sure there's nobody else? I know a lot of people that I think would be better speakers than me, certainly would have deeper biblical knowledge. But then I said to myself, how do you show your children that even through that, you have to push through? And what you may discover is that there's some hidden talent in there. I don't know that that'll be the case today. You all can send notes to the elders and tell them whether or not that's true or not. But I have feelings of imposter syndrome around being a husband and being a father. My father was not around, and so in some ways I often will revert to, well, I didn't really have a good example. And as I stated earlier, that's garbage. That's a lie. I've got the example right here. I got everything I need. Hebrews 12:2. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who, for the joy set before him, endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Less of me and more of thee. Song lyrics can often sum up in a few lyrics what I tend to ramble on about for hundreds of words. This is part of a Caleb and John song called Finished. He's not done with me, he's not done with you, no matter what we're going through. Our hope is in an empty tomb and the God that's still not in it. His grace is paving broken roads. He loves us more than we can know. Till he comes back or we go home. I'm not, you're not. He's not finished. You may be at the beginning, middle, or nearing the end of your Christian life. You may have thoughts about being an imposter or being insufficient. Rest assured, you are not. Thank God in Jesus that we are not finished. We are an incomplete painting that is continued to be worked on. My hope is that these words have been encouraging to you no matter where you're at. If there's anything that the elders or I might lift up in prayer, you're welcome to come down as we sing the next song.